Hello everyone, hope you all are doing well. Welcome to Diplomat's Desk. I am your host, Meet Shah. So, today we'll talk about the infrastructure story, which is not a tale of intentions anymore, it's a story of execution. From new freight corridors and airports to green power and semiconductor fabs, the numbers are getting big and the geopolitics even bigger. From the desks of diplomat, today we will break down what's happening on the ground, what it means for India position in the world, and how it's reshaping the global trade. Let's talk first about money and the map. In 2025-26 financial year, India budgeted a massive 11.21 lakh crore rupee for capital expenditure. That's around 3.1% of GDP. Mid-year, the government had already used up about 52% of that outlay, proof that projects are actually moving, not just sitting on paper. Roads and railways continue to take the lion's share. This steady public investment is acting as the anchor of India's growth, while private and PPP projects pick up speed in logistics and urban transports. Now let's talk about the hard assets coming online, which is already visible. Airports first. In October 2025, Mumbai became the only Indian city with two international airports when the Navi Mumbai International Airport was inaugurated. Commercial operations start this December with 20 million passenger capacity in phase 1, scaling up to 90 million in later phases. In the north, the Noida International Airport at Jewar held its inauguration on October 30th, 2025. Flights are expected to begin within 45 days. A new 74-kilometer expressway is also being built to connect Jewar directly to the Ganga Expressway. On the rail front, the western dedicated freight corridor is set to become fully operational by December 2025, cutting transit times and boosting freight capacity along India's busiest trade route. Earlier this year, India completed the Udhampur-Srinagar-Baramulla rail link, finally connecting Kashmir to the national network. The project includes the world's tallest rail arc, the Chenab Bridge, and has already seen Vande Bharat trains running between Katra and Srinagar. The Delhi-Mumbai Expressway remains partly open, though full completion is now pushed towards 2027. And on the maritime side, Vadhavan Port, India's deepest planned seaport, has all major clearances and early stages work underway. It is expected to be operational in the late 2020s. Now let's talk about the clean energy backbone. So India's energy transition is in the full motion. As of this year, total renewable capacity stands over 220 gigawatts in FY25 alone. India added about 24 gigawatts of solar and 4 gigawatts of wind, pushing renewable generation up 24% year on year in just the first half of 2025. The National Green Hydrogen Mission is also scaling fast, with support for domestic electrolyzer manufacturing around 3000 megawatts per year, setting up India for export grade green hydrogen by 2030. Now let's talk about the new economy industrials. In Dholera, Gujarat, construction has begun on India's first commercial semiconductor fab led by the Tata Electronics with PSMC of Taiwan. It's a 91,000 crore rupee investment targeting volume production by 2026-27, a critical step in bringing high-tech manufacturing to Indian soil and integrating India into global chip supply chains. Let's talk about logistic cost from myth to measurement. New data from DPIIT and NCAER puts India's logistic costs at just 7.97% of GDP for FY24, far lower than the often quoted 13 to 14%. That's the game changer. Rail freight now averages 1.96 per ton kilometer rupee, while road transport remains higher, but as expressways and freight corridors expands, that gap will narrow. Lower logistic cost means higher export competitiveness, better margins for manufacturers, and even lower inflation over time. Behind the scenes, PM Gati Shakti and the National Logistic Policy are coordinating ministries and approvals, turning planning into executions. Though the national monetization pipeline, India raised 3.85 lakh crore between FY 2022 and FY24. For FY25, the target is another 1.9 trillion rupee. The principle is simple but powerful. Monetize brownfield assets like highways and power grids, and reinvest the capital into new projects. It's infrastructure self-financing in action. Now let's talk about the geoeconomics, India's corridors to the world. The India Middle East Europe corridor or IMEC is at the heart of this geopolitical strategy. It links India to the Gulf and Europe via multimodal rail and sea routes, offering supply chain diversification and faster connectivity. Meanwhile, in May 2024, India signed a 10-year agreement to operate Iran's Chabahar ports, giving direct access to Afghanistan and Central Asia. And in late 2025, the US renewed sanctions waivers for Chabahar, keeping that trade route open. This corridor expands India's reach, reduces dependence on traditional choke points, and position it as a strategic connector between Asia, Middle East, and Europe. Let's step back and look at what all this means. For India, high public capex combined with faster commissioning of projects like the Western DFC, Kashmir Rail Link, and the new airports is lowering logistic friction. That boosts private investment, create jobs, and reduced inflation through cheaper freight. The new logistic cost figure around 8% of GDP could lift export competitiveness by 100 to 200 basis points in key sectors like automobiles, chemicals, and textiles. On energy, renewables are rising fast, but the grid, storage, and transmission capacity are the new bottlenecks. Solving that will be crucial for sustained growth. Of course, challenges remain. Projects like Delhi-Mumbai Expressway and the Jojila Tunnel shows how delays in procurement and land acquisition still bite. For the region and the world, the Middle East and the Europe benefit as India's corridors and ports expand, rerouting trade through the UAE, Saudi Arabia, and European ports while offering investors brownfield opportunities through the NMP. Central Asia and Afghanistan gain a new sanctions compliant corridor through Chabahar. Expect to see more Indian pharmaceuticals, staples, and project cargo flow through that route. Globally, India's semiconductor fab at Dholera signals a shift in supply chains, making India a viable node for electronic manufacturing alongside Southeast Asia and Taiwan. So, where does all this leave India? Right now, India is not just building infrastructure, it's building leverage. By monetizing brownfields, investing in new corridors, and cutting logistic costs, India is converting its infrastructure drive into economic and strategic power. For the world, this means a more connected, resilient Asia and a credible alternative in global trade and manufacturing. The flywheel is turning from construction to competitiveness, from capex to influence. India's infrastructure movement is here and impact is global. Thanks for watching. If you found this deep dive useful, like, share, and subscribe for more analysis connecting geopolitics, economics, and strategy. Thank you.